I'm currently holding a baby in my arms, and it's not weird because it's my own. Hola, bonjour. This week, talked to Starheadboy, also known as Dave Bloomfield, a terrific artist. Really enjoyed our conversation. We talked for, I believe it was over 2 hours. Didn't pay attention to the time. Enjoy. I don't care that you don't care. So, Dave, so one thing I wanted to get into, like, the first thing that I always notice about you that I'm so enthralled with and inspired by is just how prolific you are. That's like one of the most amazing things that I see just right off the bat. I mean, so Instagram, so I guess this is possibly like a two-part question is, it seems clear to me, just, me being, of course, an outsider, like viewing your work, that Instagram has created a whole new platform for your work.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And now we as fans and your followers now get to see the amount of work that you're able to put out, and that's what I'm getting at. Is like that is so incredibly prolific in such a inspiring way for me, because sometimes we were talking about mood earlier, and sometimes I might be in some kind of a mood and I probably shouldn't be on social media, like when I'm so I probably should be working that out for myself, but sometimes I'll go there and especially if I look at your page, I'll get myself, because it's even. And another thing is, like, when your work is like, if you have something that's being like the actual words that are on like a piece of artwork, sometimes it might be actually like have a negative connotation, but the artwork itself is positive, right? Like like a positive twist on negativity, which I think is such a good way to do it too. To be positive, basically, to like take it, because it's easier, because we as humans, we typically remember negative things, right? Like
they're more interesting in a weird way. They're like, drama is so much more interesting.
Yeah. So I'm really getting on a tangent here, but one, I'm kind of complimenting your work and how prolific you are, and the amount, not just the amount, but the quality too. But another thing is, like, so how are you able to stay on this prolific kind of, I don't know what I would call it, like, I guess for lack of a better way of saying it, like it seems like to me, it would be a stream of consciousness. That's how I'm able to kind of keep things going, is like just kind of stay on that stream of consciousness, where it's, stay on that stream, and don't get off the stream, like keep going, and that. So how would you say you're able to like stay so prolific all the time, at least from my perspective?
Yeah, I think, usually the stuff I don't even show is like these composition books, just full of stuff every night, and it's my favorite thing to do. So when I get up in the morning, if I don't have to be anywhere right away, I'm just tinkering around in them. Like I'm usually like playing around with some sketches. Every once in a while, I'll come along with like a character. I'm like, oh, I really like this guy, you know. But like lately, like one of the little exercises I've been doing is I just been writing a fake show. So it'll just be, I'll just write season 1, episode 1. I was driving down the street and this guy was walking across the crosswalk, and right when I started turning, he just went on a dead sprint. And he sprinted all the way through the city. And then the next episode, I'll just write episode 2. And it's like, I just read this thing recently about writing 10 ideas down a day. And then you can dissect those ideas and just having different ones, just to like train your mind to be like this idea machine. And I was already kind of doing that before I ran into this, but like the episode thing's really fun. I think like one of the biggest things is like storytelling. So I noticed, like, I'm a Gemini. I'm gonna blame it on this like sign thing. Right. So Gemini's like split in half, or the two babies or whatever. So a lot of times I'll be going out into society and I'll be like super frustrated with everything. If I take, it's to me, it's I get really down on myself, because I'm like, what a cop out. I'm like getting super frustrated. when I transposed creativity over it, then I start getting comics out of
Ooh,
it and
okay.
stories.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, and it feels so good
Yeah.
that I'm like,
Yeah.
why do I ever?
Yeah.
It's like a constant thing. Why do I ever gravitate away from this? You know,
Yeah.
like this should all be fun.
Sure.
I should be
Sure.
grateful for all of it, and it
Yeah.
should all be
Yeah,
fun. You
yeah, yeah.
know,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like that's my favorite. Besides the episodes thing, I've just been drawing out these like triangles, rectangles.
Okay.
I'm messing up my shapes.
Yeah.
Rectangles like panels for
Okay.
comics, and then just
Yeah.
drawing characters in them.
Yeah.
And the people that I meet, like at my part-time job, I'll like put their personalities in things that they say to me,
Right,
you
right,
know,
right.
and like
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, that all that material is so good,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, yeah.
like people are so interesting,
Oh, yeah.
and they don't even know they are,
Right,
you
right,
know,
right. Yeah,
they're just like, oh, I did this.
yeah.
I run into like, especially other visual artists so much that are like, oh yeah, this happened on the way here. You know, like I drew with this buddy of mine last week, and he's like, "Oh, on the way here, this happened, this happened, this happened." I'm like, "Dude, please make that
Yeah.
a story.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
make it a story,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or because I want to make it a story.
Yeah.
You know?
Right,
Like,
right, right. Yeah.
But people are just like, "Oh, that's my life." I'm like, "That's
Yeah.
material.
Absolutely.
man."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's really helpful to kind of get an idea. Like now, because I'm not trying to like crack the code and steal your from, but you're basically saying you're stealing ideas from other people.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a thing people don't use. You
Yeah,
know, they're like.
yeah.
They're like I drew this comic book about this guy that I work with, and it was all about. I named the comic "Whoa." This is like years ago, and it's just he's got this super long, like scraggly beard, and it was just about how he got fed up with the job, went out into the woods and became a Sasquatch, and now he's like
Okay.
stealing people's like
Yeah.
lunches and stuff, like picnic basket lunches and stuff. But that guy, it's so crazy because the workplace that I work in, if you went up to him and just said, "Hey, there's a comic drawn about you,"
Yeah.
it would blow his mind. He'd be like, number one, why are people even drawing anything?
Yeah. 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 Right.
And why would I be the subject of it? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
But I'm
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
like it is like out of love in this weird way too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
like
yeah.
I like I've had people read comics of mine before, and they'll come from their own point of view, and they'll be like, do people get bothered that you're making fun of them? And I'm like, I wouldn't even like take the time if I was making fun of somebody with
Right,
a comic.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
it's their that like the person is so interesting and they don't even know it, you
Yeah.
know?
Right. 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 Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't even consider it coming from a place of like making fun of someone. But yeah, I mean that seems like that's someone who's just trying to put a negative connotation on something that's
Yeah.
not negative at all.
It's usually like
right?
a projection,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, right.
like, oh, this is how I feel, so you must be doing it for this reason. And I'm like,
yeah,
I'm just trying to like be sane and have
yeah,
I'm really trying to like conjure like that inner child.
yeah,
I don't even see like, you know, we're all in a timeline and we all become adults, but yeah, it's all pretend too. You
Right,
know?
right,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
I gotta do this, I gotta do that now.
yeah,
All the little mini like pieces of the day can be interjected with like imagination. And,
oh yeah,
you know, like people are like, I'm too busy. I'm like, dude, you could find a minute or two or whatever, or
Oh,
just
yeah. Yeah.
like I've been really interested in like. Well, I was really into meditation for a little while, and it helps exponentially. But especially like the mind is just so insane how unlimited it is, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden clear it, and then these things start coming through, and I'm
Right.
like, I'm not even really doing anything, you know?
Yeah.
Like with creative process, I'm like, oh, the best stuff is when my mind's clear, and then
Yeah.
these things pop through. I'm like,
Yeah.
that has nothing to do with me. You know?
yeah. Oh yeah, wow, yeah,
But lately, I've been thinking like, how can you take that meditative state, like when you're driving or when you're out walking around or doing something?
Sure,
you know? That'd be
sure.
the best
Yeah,
if it's
right.
you're super busy with something,
Right.
but you're like, I'm in a meditative
Yeah,
state.
I know.
You know?
Yeah, I've actually been trying to do that. I don't think it's possible. I mean, it's definitely possible, but I don't think it's possible for me right now because I haven't mastered even meditation. I meditated for the first time last month and actually had like a very euphoric experience where I actually I physically felt my whatever it was, my body, my spirit, or something came out, and like I was able to reflect and look back at myself. And then as soon as I noticed myself, I came right back in. Like, I don't know if that was a spirit or what it was. It was like my soul, or well, yeah, whatever you want to call that, right? But
Yeah.
it was completely, it's the only thing I can compare that to is like some kind of a hypnotic, like psychosis, or a psychedelic state or something, where like you feel
Yeah.
high,
Oh
you
yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
your body's floating kind of thing. And that's how I felt this floating sensation. But it was very real. And just for the record, like I was not intoxicated whatsoever, like I was completely sober. I maybe had some caffeine. I don't know, but even then, I don't think caffeine's gonna
Yeah.
not with my ADHD personality. It's not gonna help me meditate. So I was
Yeah.
doing something right that day, but yeah. So I guess why I'm bringing that up is I've been trying to, like, whenever I have those moments, even in the car, like it's definitely not safe to meditate in the car, but I've tried to get into a meditative state where I just think of nothing,
Yeah.
like just black, just kind of go into a nothing, a state of nothingness, and of course, like still be aware of what's going on, but in my mind. A state of nothingness where I can kind of go into these meditative states. I've been trying to do that just in little moments because, like you said, no one, people say they're too busy, and I get that, and I'm guilty of saying those words, but I'm trying not to do that anymore because I realize, like, even those 5 minute increments that you have, everyone has 5 minutes free. Like,
Yeah.
there's no one who doesn't. Like, even Jeff Bezos, the arguably like the hardest worker in the world, right? That guy like is working 24/7. He absolutely is a 24/7 worker.
Yeah. And
He's like one of those 4 hour a night sleeping people. Like
yeah.
he barely sleeps at all. And he's the wealthiest person in the world because of that, right? Because he's just working all the time. But even him, he can find 5 minutes to meditate or something, right? He probably does, I would imagine, or he goes insane.
Yeah, definitely. Or that somehow is his meditation.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
the flow state,
sure,
like that
sure,
constantly comes up. Like
yeah,
I get into that a lot when I'm just drawing, and like that's always the goal. Well, not even goal is kind of a weird way to put it. It's like it's just sinking into this state of like, okay, it's like this, just fluid waves, just, and then an idea will come through. I find it in the car too a
okay,
lot. Like
yeah,
the strange thing about being in a car is like I feel like the best ideas come in because it's easier to get a clear mind.
sure,
You're like
sure,
everything's being handled. You're
yeah,
like in this subconscious, like watching all the lights, stopping, going, whatever. Then
right,
there's always some idea that pops through. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
where I can't write this down right
yeah,
now.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Like.
right, right, right,
Like you get a whole episode of something, you're like, oh my
yeah,
god,
yeah,
man,
yeah,
I
yeah,
gotta remember this, and then get somewhere and be like, okay, there's another like
yeah,
great idea that's
right,
somewhere out there that I forgot.
yeah. No, this is great because it makes it so more real and certain to me that this is actually, and the other thing, real and certain to me that this is an actual state of art. Like this is actually how we obtain and are able to be these vessels for art,
Yeah,
because you mentioned like that meditative state where you've gone into that, and then you said it's not even a part, it doesn't even have anything to do with me, it's not necessarily you,
yeah,
like it was just available and you took it, right? Is that kind of what
yeah,
you're saying? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's like, and I've heard a lot of other people. I've heard the Nikola Tesla talked about were just antennas bringing
yeah,
in
yeah,
ideas.
yeah, yeah,
Salvador Dali was like he thought his mustache was an antenna just pulling in
ooh, okay,
ideas. It was
yeah,
like this whole. I've heard other people talk
yeah,
about it too in different industries that like there's all these ideas out there. It's kind of like radio waves,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah,
if you have like
yeah,
an AM FM radio and you can
yeah,
tune it into that,
yeah,
like if you, as long as you have an antenna up and
uh-huh,
you're in tune, then
yeah,
the idea comes.
yeah,
And I did see this. There was this other thing that was really great for like I would say visual artists because visual artists like in the past I would run into people at shows and they're like, yeah, I make all this stuff, but I couldn't show it. I'm like, take yourself out of the equation
yeah,
because like
yeah,
I saw this thing on creating and it was like this person they'd boiled it down to like you're summoning like the spirit of creation, and then you're creating whatever it is with them.
Okay.
So it's 50-50.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So then if people praise it,
Yeah.
you just say, yeah, it's cool. Me and the spirit of creation made it. So then
Yeah.
you share the praise.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
keeps you like humble.
Yeah.
Then on the other end, if people are like, I hate that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Sure.
me and the spirit of creation made it, so we got to share the blame.
Right.
I've gone way
Ooh,
past
that's
that
good.
now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
now I'm like more in the realm of like Brene Brown. If you
Okay.
ever
Is
Brene
that
Brown, like she's like it's not combative with it, but she's like, if you're not in the realm with me, then you have no right to tell me if I'm doing the right thing, you know?
okay?
Like if you're not in, because I don't even see it that way. Like
Hmm.
when I'm doing something, now I'm purely, it's strange. I purely do the things that I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then if somebody's like, yeah, this is garbage, I'm
Mm-hmm.
immediately, this is a part of a Brene Brown thing too, is
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm like, well, it's not for you then, you know?
Oh
Like,
yeah. Right. Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
my, my stuff, anyone's stuff,
Mm-hmm.
some people are going to love it and some people are
Right.
going to
Right.
not
Right.
like it,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like I was in Post Alley like it's probably like 6 months ago, and I was pasting up this stuff, and
Okay.
the bars opened. You know,
Yeah.
it was like 2 a.m.
Okay.
This guy came out. He was super interesting. He was this ghost hunter guy, and he was doing a
Okay.
podcast.
Yeah.
The first thing he did was he was like, "What's all this stuff going on down here, man? There's
Yeah.
this weird like creatures, and there's a cat around the corner, and it's saying like nope, and dude, it just bothers me, man.
Yeah.
Like he's just talking all this shit about my stuff, and I was like, yeah, whatever, and I'm pasting the stuff up. Then he started talking to me about ghosts. So then I'm talking to him about ghosts. And then halfway through the whole thing, he sees what I'm pasting up. Like it's like 15 minutes into this conversation. And he was like, oh, dude, I was talking shit about all your stuff and you didn't even say anything. You're just like, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, because it doesn't matter to me,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Right.
Like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
some people are going to like it and some people are going to hate it.
Yeah.
I would expect more people to hate it.
Sure.
And then I'm like fortunate that they either don't tell me about it
Yeah.
or I just don't hear about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. What is Renee Brown? Is she? Is that an author? Or is...
Brene Brown. She's like she studies shame and
Oh,
why
wow.
why people feel about themselves the way they do, you
Okay.
know? And
Okay.
she has like a thing on Netflix now. She had a super famous TED Talk.
Okay. She wrote
And
"P.S. I Love You," right? Or no?
I don't know I can't remember the titles of her books.
I kind of think she wrote "P.S. I Love You." Or no. I think that is it. No. She wrote "Eat, Pray, Love." That's what she wrote. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm kind
remember.
of this is something like I've toyed with, like, do I do the Google thing on the podcast and like and I'm at this point I'm deciding no. I'm gonna like
Just
either I get
just
things
let it-
wrong or I get them right, and
Yeah.
people can do the research, right?
One of the greatest things is like, I mean, just with internet in general, you know, and things like that, like besides, you know, like with Google and is I'm like, I think about this more and more. Like
Yeah.
I've always really been into motivational speakers and they all have their different approaches,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I'm so thankful for all of them. Like it's
Yeah.
all these different people,
Yeah.
you know? I remember when I was first getting into that realm and I was like, okay, this person's saying this and this person's saying this. And it was always massively inspiring, but
Yeah.
I got super confused. I'm like, what's the right way? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
This person's saying this
Right.
person's saying let go.
Right.
This person's saying like hunker down harder. You know,
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
but everyone has their own thing.
Right,
And
right.
one of them, like when I first started listening to all that stuff, Wayne Dyer, he was like,
Oh wow, that's incredibly. That's really interesting because and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just started listening to his commentary on the Tao. So he's talking about
the Tao Te
Lao
Ching.
Tzu, right? Lao
Yeah,
Tzu.
yeah.
And I've been listening to that for and just let me go on this tangent for 1 second, and then I'm gonna let you. So don't forget what you're gonna say. But I went through this whole thing where I started listening to it, and I was I've been getting into running like the past couple of years, where I've never really been much of a runner, but I'm enjoying it more. I feel better when I do it, so I'm just trying to force myself to do it. And getting into, like, speaking of motivational speakers, like, crazy Navy SEAL guy David Goggins. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely insane. I love him. But he's crazy, and he admits it, right?
Yeah,
But he's super
definitely.
motivational, and just that I appreciate his motivation of just do it every day,
Yeah.
and that's what I've been trying to do. Of course, sometimes there's you don't get to it like maybe the way you wanted to, but make up for the next day or not. Anyways, with so I go on these runs and I was listening to it, or I was like exercising in the gym or something, listening to it, and I would just get because those philosophies are just about like letting go, like you were saying, and
Yeah.
being free, and don't worry about what someone else thinks about you, or that someone else is being negative, or that someone else is whatever it is, there's some kind of disagreement, or they're being negative towards you in some way. Just that's not your problem. That's
Yeah.
their problem. It's not your problem. And I was like, and because I can be, maybe I think I have been combative sometimes, and I've dealt with anger a lot, and so I was just those teachings just made me so angry. I was like, getting furious,
Yeah.
and I think that's what I needed to do to get through it. Because then I was like, I'm just gonna keep listening to it though. Like, I'm getting mad. I would turn it off, and then take a break, and then it's still there. It's still on my phone. So I go back to it. I'm gonna listen again. Get angry again. Turn it
Yeah.
off. But then now now I checked it out again from the library and going through it again, and now it's really sitting in with me. Like, I'm really starting to let it sink in now, and I'm getting it now. So I had to go through this whole process where it was like,
No, I
yeah.
totally get that because
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
gone back and forth. I've been in my car before being like, what the fuck?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
these people are
Yeah.
like, okay, you do this, you do
Yeah.
this, you do
Yeah.
this. And I'm like, dude, I'm not seeing anything. Like,
Yeah.
and that's like
Yeah.
the wrong approach. But it's
Right.
like, it's almost like, I think of so many habits and
Mm-hmm.
programming
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that people get placed in. And
Right.
then these like bits of information come out and you're like, yeah, what really is, lost by just letting go, like
Oh
because
yeah.
we're never really in control of anything except for
Absolutely
your
not.
own perspective,
Yeah. Exactly.
and then but then like there's just such an anchor to it, like, oh, like I can't do this. It's like the I always feel like it's the neural pathways figuring out the different way to go, and it's going to
Okay.
be uncomfortable, like
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
like feelings become addictive, and then your mind is just like I listened to this thing recently with this guy James Altucher,
Okay.
and I totally like his perspective because he's made millions and then he's lost millions, and he's like, I just wanted to, like, at one point he wanted to kill himself, and he has a very realistic
Yeah.
way of like, this is just what I do. And he was talking about being addicted to your own, like, like you get mad or stressed and then cortisol levels come
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's like, actually I think I'm mixing him up with a different motivational speaker, but one of them was talking about like, yeah, you make your body and your mind is making an agreement,
Okay.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
hey, we need this feeling,
Right.
it's
Right. Right.
almost like
Yeah.
being addicted to anything. We
Sure.
need this feeling
Sure.
now,
Yeah.
and we're just going to see everything in this way to
Yeah.
keep getting this
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And then the little like, I'm getting off this addictive path, and then it slowly changes. But of course, it's going to be like, like what you were saying, it's just
Yeah.
going to be a meltdown at first.
Yeah.
Like, oh, fuck
Yeah.
this shit, and
Right. 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 Yeah.
throw something across.
Yeah.
I've thrown so many things across the room.
Yeah.
I've had so many times where I've been like, dude, none of this stuff
Yeah.
is working.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
fun part about it is like, it's usually happened in my car. I'm like, none of this
Yeah.
stuff is working. This
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah.
And then like, sometimes I'll even have conversations with myself.
Yeah.
Where like,
Yeah.
oh, here we go, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you going to like keep,
Yeah.
oh, we're going to
Yeah.
keep doing this. We're going to keep yelling about how none of it's working.
Yeah.
How about like how funny this is? And then I'll
Yeah.
get on a different path. So I think like human beings are so hard on themselves,
Yeah. Oh,
especially
yeah.
when you're doing
Oh,
this
yeah.
introspective
Right.
stuff.
Right. Right.
That you don't
Right.
even realize that, like, wow, I'm becoming a different
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Like how you were
Yeah.
talking about anger.
Yeah.
Like, I've had all these problems with anger, and I'm like, dude, I am just keep slipping back.
Yeah.
These things
Yeah.
annoy me. I'm resentful. I'm
Right,
angry.
right.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like you just get so heady with
Right.
it,
Right. Right.
and then.
Yeah.
and then something will happen, or like, oh, I used to react to that
Yeah.
situation
Right.
different.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
you
yeah.
gotta like give yourself the accolades. Like,
Yeah.
okay, dude,
Yeah.
I'm getting.
Yeah.
I saw this rad thing where it was all about, people are so like goal setting, and it's a lot
Sure.
of pressure,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
and it does get to the point where you're like, you get to the end of the day and you're like, okay, I got a lot of these things accomplished, but I didn't get my goal, and it's almost like then you feel bad sometimes
Right.
about that.
Right. Yeah.
And this one motivational speaker was like, dude, honor the process, celebrate your process, the
Yeah.
practice. You're
Yeah.
getting into a
Yeah.
new practice.
Right.
You're
Right.
like, like anything to really just be more, I think anything for people to be more gentle with themselves.
Right.
Like, people are
Right.
quick to be like,
Yeah.
I don't have this yet. I don't
Yeah.
have that yet. I
Right.
don't have this.
Right.
Like,
Right.
dude, no, like just be a kind, just try and be a kind person,
Yeah.
and work on all your little things.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they weren't yours to begin with. A lot of shit just got handed to
Exactly.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it takes a while to unravel. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen instantly.
And you can't take it with you either.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And unless you get mummified with it, I guess. Which I mean,
Hey.
yeah.
Yeah, I had this idea one time. It was whatever people believe in, like afterlife, and there's these dudes that are always like, I'm gonna get buried with my horse, or I'm gonna get buried with my Corvette.
Okay.
I'm gonna get buried with a bunch of cash. And
Okay.
then
Yeah. Yeah.
the regular person's like, dude, you're gonna get buried in your Corvette. Why?
Yeah.
And then like I would just imagine, like,
Yeah.
I made a comic of it once. It was like, everyone's in this afterlife, and they're like, how the hell did that guy get that Corvette up here?
Yeah.
Because he buried himself.
Right.
up
Right.
there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that dude's got all the cash, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, dude. I
Yeah, well,
buried
what good
myself
is
in
the cash gonna do there, though?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just like,
And
dude.
also, like, don't tell people you're gonna bury yourself with cash, because they will, they'll get it. They'll get to it. Like, don't. That's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Don't tell people you're gonna do that. Also, like, I mean, the same thing goes with the Corvette. If someone who loves Corvettes is gonna unbury that and
Yeah.
take that Corvette out of there and rebuild it, and then they got a Corvette.
What's his name, dude? Why can't I think of his name, man? I can't believe I forgot his name. He used to run the Tonight Show.
Oh, Jay Leno.
Yeah, how did I forget his name,
it's all good.
dude?
Yeah, it's all good.
He would do that.
Yeah, he
dude,
would
'cause
do
he's
that.
Put it in
He
his
probably
collection
would.
of cars.
Yeah, he's got a ridiculous collection. Yeah, he has a whole new show now, right? Where he has a whole new show where it's just like a car show, and he just
God.
goes through all his cars, kind of thing. And then Seinfeld has that comedians in cars show.
That
Have you
one's
seen?
amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah,
But Jay Leno would definitely dig up
yeah.
that grave and grab that Corvette out.
Yeah. He does seem to like be very knowledgeable as far as the mechanics of cars.
Yeah.
I just don't see him getting dirty with it, though. Is the thing.
He'd pay a
Yeah.
turn to do it.
Exactly.
That guy, I
yeah.
saw, I can't remember whose podcast Jay Leno was on, and it was incredible. I
Yeah.
always had a view of him. I was like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
late night stuff. I was like,
Right.
David Letterman, I like
Right.
him more. And
Yeah.
Jay
yeah,
Leno
yeah.
was
right.
like,
Right.
but the podcast he was on, he was talking about his early comedic
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
And there was no comedy clubs yet.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I don't know if it was Mark Maron. It was like one of the big podcasts. But
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I love this guy, man.
Yeah.
This is rad.
Yeah.
Just some of he was performing for mobsters and the way they were
Yeah.
reacting to him. And
Yeah.
I'm like, dude,
Yeah,
Jay
yeah.
Leno, man, I
Yeah.
want to hear more of this.
Right.
stuff,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. Well, I felt the same way. You don't know, because when you just see someone on that platform in a suit and doing the whole thing that other people wrote for him, it's like, how much
Yeah.
talent does this guy have? He's clearly talented.
Yeah.
But like you don't get that backstory. Same thing with Letterman too. I mean, even though Letterman is clearly talented as well, but you don't find out. I think Letterman worked the door at a comedy club for a little while,
Yeah.
and then finally got his way in. I think that was like kind of the way to do it, is like you work the door, and then maybe they'll let you get on stage for 5 minutes or something, and then they'll give you 10 minutes, and then like kind of thing. The comedy world is a whole. That's that I've always held that art at a very high regard, because that, as a musician, I have a guitar or a piano or something to kind of help, not really hide behind, but help amplify the whole situation. They have just a microphone. and they have to do everything with their voice, where I can use an instrument to help me with that, with the volume and with the and everything like I said. So that's one thing I've always been fascinated with. But yeah, with the back to Wayne Dyer real quick. Did you so what did you end up reading? Was it the same thing? Was it
Oh,
him?
so Wayne Dyer, I watched a bunch of his old PBS specials on YouTube
Oh, wow, okay.
like years ago,
Yeah.
and I saw the Tao Te Ching thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I carried it around. I still have a bag with it in it because he really got into like the energy of
Oh,
things. So
yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
just carry a
Yeah.
copy of the Tao Te
Yeah.
Ching.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did have an incident. Like I was when I lived on Capitol Hill and I was walking around with the Tao Te Ching, and like all the crows in the neighborhood when they have babies, they go insane and
Yeah. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
they'll dive bomb you, they'll
Yeah.
dive bomb cars.
Oh,
And
yeah.
this crow like was walking up the street and this crow like dive bombed me from behind and actually clawed the back of my neck really quick. It was like just like
Yeah.
kind of like get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
We got my
Yeah.
nest
Yeah.
over there.
Right,
And it
right.
flew past me and landed on a stop sign. And I just grabbed this book out of my bag and I threw it at it. It was the Tao Te Ching. I was like, that's the book of like of like life, like
Yeah.
how to be
Yeah.
peaceful
Yeah.
in your life.
Right.
And I'm trying to
Right.
hit a crow with
Right.
it,
Right. Right. Well.
But the thing that Wayne Dyer said was like, he was like, yeah, just follow all these teachings of the different people out there because they're all saying the same thing, but you'll have to hear it in a certain way to get it,
Yeah.
Or, a lot of those motivational speakers are like, listen to this a bunch of times. And
Oh,
then,
sure. Yeah.
And then like little things start sinking
Right.
in.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember how confused I was in the beginning. I was
Yeah.
like, this guy saying this, that guy
Right.
saying that.
Right.
And then like
right.
slowly I was like, oh, dude, I'm starting to remember actual
Yeah.
little like
Yeah.
pieces of this,
Yeah. Do nothing and nothing is left undone.
Yeah.
Is that was one of the ones that like I went through all the emotions with. I was like, it felt profound, and then I was angry because I was like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
And then, but that's it's interpretive, but it is really helpful to have Wayne, this PhD, like break it down because clearly the guy's very intelligent. So it's helpful to have him give his his Western English interpretation of the whole thing. And also I appreciate he does go into a little bit about how Lao Tzu kind of have a little bit. I haven't completed it yet, but a little bit of how Lao Tzu was almost like in this competition in a way. I don't think he was competitive, but maybe by default because Confucius was really the big teacher at the time. So Lao Tzu was they were kind of butted heads a little bit as far as their philosophies. And of course, eventually Confucius actually, lost his job and everything. He lost it all eventually, like to an extent. And I think I would imagine Lao Tzu, I don't know his story as much as Confucius, but because Confucius actually got to be within the political system, and then they realized pretty quickly, like, this guy doesn't know anything about politics.
That's so crazy that, like, I mean, even when you said, like, Confucius lost his job, I'm like, dude, he had a job?
Yeah, exactly.
He just floated around back then.
No,
and, like,
exactly.
This will end up on a
Exactly.
fortune
Well, that was kind
cookie
of the
or
thing is
something.
he did kind of just float around with his ideas and basically he kind of got this little following, and they were like, the government at the time was like, we like these ideas. Why don't you take this seat? And then it was just really quick. Like, I mean, really quick. I don't know the amount of time, but really quick to where they're like, oh yeah, you are not fit for this job. Go back to what you were doing before. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, you really fluffed that resume up, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So as far as all the things that you have going on, with all the visual arts. So you paint, you draw, you create comics, you're doing videos, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's 4 things. I know there's others. I mean, you also have like a steady job, right? Or are you still doing that? Like
I'm doing like a part-time job.
Yeah.
It keeps me in shape.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a unique environment. It's just a factory warehouse job.
Yeah, right.
I don't bring my phone in there during that time.
Do they allow you to?
They allow it.
Oh, okay.
People to now.
Oh, okay.
It started out at that place. I was making this joke about it last week.
Yeah.
Where when I first started there, they were like, leave everything in your car, leave your
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah. Right.
You can't
Right.
you can't hold back that,
Right.
like,
Right.
and then like a year into it, they were like, make sure to not bring your phone out on the floor and take
Yeah.
photos of sensitive stuff. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, it's just going to get to the point of like,
Right.
well, if you're going to film your own TV show
Yeah.
here,
Yeah. Yeah.
make sure to not
Yeah.
get any of our equipment in because people are just going to bring in all their stuff. Like, people just do whatever they want, and
Sure.
you
Yeah.
can't like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like especially when it comes to like a phone, yeah, there's no way.
Well, the phone is an addiction.
Yeah.
Clearly, I mean, I'm addicted to it, and that's why I'm trying to be more cognizant of it and like keep, I'm trying to turn my phone off every day for an amount of time, and
Yeah.
also just like limit how much I'm using the thing, and also just that's also why I've kind of decided for now I'm not gonna Google something I'm not sure about. I'm just gonna go with what you have in your brain, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so that's, I mean, that's several things. I know, I mean, you also are in a relationship. I mean, there's plenty of other things we could talk about that you do, but what I want to get to the root is how do you manage all the things that you do? Like, how do you manage your time? Like, how are you able to be so prolific with your art, but also juggle all the other things of being in a relationship, of having a part-time job, and also like you're also putting up a lot of shows on a fairly regular basis, right? So like,
Yeah.
how do you manage all the time to make relationships work, to make the part-time job work, and to be able to create your art and be prolific, all in, all successfully?
I think like, I mean, sometimes it seems really messy, and sometimes it seems like
Sure.
it's going very fluid.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've had a problem with insomnia for a long time.
Okay.
Not like
Okay.
not full insomnia where
Okay.
people are like up for days, but
Yeah. Yeah.
like I'll be wide awake at like I have 3 days off from work.
Okay.
So if I'm working, I get off at like midnight or 1.
Okay.
Then I go home and I just stay up till like 5
Okay.
and I'll work on
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And then on my days off, I just I'm wide awake at midnight, and
Okay.
then I'll just stay
Yeah.
up till 5, and
Yeah.
I just work like in the middle of the night.
Okay.
It's like my favorite.
Yeah.
I made one of my YouTube videos about that, being
Okay.
up in the middle of
Yeah.
the night and
Yeah.
like working on stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's just quiet.
Yeah.
I just listen to podcasts, and it's like artwork's a strange like
Yeah.
gift that when I was growing up, it was the thing not to do.
Okay.
You'll never make a living off
Yeah.
that. You'll never
Yeah,
blah blah
yeah.
blah. And now all
Yeah.
these industries are disappearing. Like the trucking industry is
Yeah.
going to disappear.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What is it, like universal basic income?
Mm-hmm.
A couple years ago, I remember talking to people about that. They're like, "What the hell is that? That's crazy." I'm like,
Yeah.
"That is a thing that's gonna have to happen because there's gonna
Yeah.
be just industries that just disappear overnight.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be people that are like, "What do I do now?" You know,
Right.
The thing that like with artwork that came into like, it's just a strange magical thing, and it's probably just from my perspective, but I'm like, people were always telling me like, "Oh, you'll never make a living off that," and that was never the point. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it becomes this thing now that like it's my favorite thing to do, and I'm all like, where it puts my mind at, I'm like, dude, this thing is it's a gift,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, people are trying to fill their time all the time,
Right.
and if
Right.
they're not full of something, they're either like anxiety ridden or they're bored. You
Yeah.
know, I'm like,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
I have this thing, and
Yeah.
it's so rad. Or like, I mean, earlier we were talking about Instagram, and I was watching this thing on Instagram, and it was all about branding. You know,
Okay.
everyone wants a brand
Yeah.
stuff. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, I have like a tire shop. How am I going to brand it on
Yeah, yeah.
Instagram?
Right.
Oh, make 4 posts a day. Do blah blah blah. Dude, you can't make 4 posts a day about tires. You know. And I'm like, dude, it's built perfectly for us, you
Right,
know?
right,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, dude, you don't need to brand it.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
put up what you're working
Everyone
on, you
needs
know?
tires, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, like, I'm like, yeah, I was watching this thing, and it was this business meeting thing, and it was like, yeah, just blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you have a tire shop.
Yeah.
You have a computer company. Like, dude, you can't just teach somebody
Yeah.
how to be creative.
yeah,
like,
yeah. Right,
how are you going
right.
to put up tire posts every day, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
It's I'm like, it's really easier said than done,
Right.
and it takes so much longer.
Yeah.
I think everything takes so much longer,
Yeah.
and I mean, I've heard things with Steve Jobs has said this. A lot of people have just said like, love the thing you're doing,
Yeah.
find the thing that you love and then be in that,
Yeah.
because it's going to be a long road,
Sure, sure,
and there's
yeah.
going to be a lot of times where like money's not coming in, or
Yeah.
expectations aren't coming in, or
Right.
this thing isn't met,
Yeah.
and it's the passion or love that's going to bridge that gap
Yeah,
more
exactly.
often than not, I
Yeah.
feel,
Yeah. The labor of love, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's another point that I mean, I think that's the thing that every artist needs to know is this: it needs to be, and no matter what it is, even if it's not art, it needs to be a thing that you would do regardless.
Yeah,
Right. I mean, that's
exactly.
the thing is like, for me with music, and I've just gotten to this place. I mean, it took a long time, but it's where I feel compelled to do it all the time, right?
Yeah.
No matter
Yeah.
what. And like you said, also getting to a place of, it is difficult to get a place of, because you want, you do, there's a part of us that wants that notoriety or that
Yeah.
acceptance, but that's the point of this podcast too, is like, forget about that. Do it because
Yeah.
you need to, because you're being a vessel for it, because it was, you found the right antenna and you caught that signal, and you need or do it because it helps you. Like sometimes it may be something you need to work through. I mean, I've written songs for my past and future self,
Yeah.
that I'm like, my future self needs to hear this song because I need to be a better person.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's another thing is, there's all kind, it can be somewhat selfish. I don't think it can be completely selfish, because I think no matter, like, if it is somewhat selfish, then it may not be portrayed that way, because other people will see it and be like, you know what? I've felt that
Yeah.
I felt that feeling. I felt that circumstance too. I can relate with that. Thank you. Like, and you put it in a different way, to where I can relate with it, kind of thing.
Yeah. I love those things. It's like you get prompted.
Yeah.
I mean, I had this situation, I made this series of like wheat pastes that were going to go up,
Okay.
I just painted them up one day.
Yeah.
This rarely happens, but this guy, I've never seen him like in any of the mix, he's never like reached out, never liked any of my stuff. I don't even
Yeah.
know where these messages came from. And he was like, oh, those are pretty rad. I'd like to see those in my apartment. And I was like, well, these are up on the street. They're up in Post Alley now. You can check them out there. He's like, where? Then he emails back, what's that? Where's that? And I was like, Seattle. And he's like, I'm down in California, and I'd really like those. So I'm thinking like, this guy doesn't just want them. He wants me to spend the money and send them to him.
Right.
And my girlfriend was sitting there, and I was like, let's just see how long this takes for this guy to figure this out. And she was like, well, maybe that's not his intention. I'm like, no, dude, it is his intention. So I just kept saying, like, she was like, you should just tell him you have an Etsy shop and you have stuff. And I'm like, I will. I will, but we're going to go down this road first.
Yeah.
And I made this character. People started calling it the Data Gator, and it was always giving this weird advice. It's just this alligator that's like, hey, the first one was like, hey, I'm proud of you, But this one I made, and it just said, hey, you're smart, you'll figure it out. And I just drew it, and I was like, this is for this guy. Hey, you're smart, you'll figure it out. And he never really figured it out. And then like the next day, I just kept bringing it down this road of like, well, these are already up. I've had people come down to Post Alley and steal stuff off the wall, it's not steal. That's pretty.
Sure.
Like people like it, and it's flattering. They'll cut it off with a razor blade or whatever. And he was like, oh, I don't even know where that place is, and that's too far for me, and all these weird things. And I was like, dude, we could do this all night.
Right.
He's never gonna say,
Yeah.
hey, do you have anything available? I want to buy something. It was just like, it's like he's bored and he's just reaching out. I'd like to get that.
Yeah.
And then the next day I did link him to it. I was like, oh, hey, by the way, I have this stuff on Etsy. And I just put a thing in there, and he never responded after that.
Yeah. So you were you nailed it. Like, you were exactly right. Yeah.
But then like the way things work, I took that piece, and it was like, yeah, you're smart. You'll figure it out. And I just put it on Instagram, Yeah. And it's, my intention was one way, but the viewer, it's like, I saw this thing, it was like 50% of your intention, the viewer is going to like interpret it any way they want.
Sure.
And I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
This other guy emails me like 2 days later, and he's like, hey, can I buy a print of that? And I go, yeah, I can make something up for you. Then he emails back. He's like, you know what? I want to buy the original, and then I want to get like 2 prints because I was heading into an interview the other day, and this got and he was like, I was super nervous about it, and this got posted, and I was like, I just took it as inspiration, and I just went in and killed this interview, and I want to buy the original, and I want to give, and I'm gonna like give prints to 2 friends,
Wow.
and I was like, dude,
Yeah.
like yeah, it wasn't really the way that I intended, but it was
Yeah.
so open ended, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, it was super fun to make,
Uh-huh.
and then this other person, like just the email, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's like,
Yeah.
I couldn't even ask for more than
Right.
that, you
Right.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
but it's the way that those things work, you
Sure.
know.
Sure.
I'm
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
roll with it.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people that I've met that are like, that person wants something for free. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you got to take that charge off of it,
Right.
man.
Right.
You have to make everything creative, and
Yeah.
everything's got to
Yeah.
be fun.
Yeah.
Or I
Yeah.
have people like I've met people that are like, I'll never do commissions because of this experience, and I'm like, dude, you're like cutting yourself off the knees.
Yeah,
Like,
you're missing out on an opportunity.
yeah,
Don't say you never do. Say like I'll be more choosy or something.
yeah,
I'll choose the commissions more wisely or something, right?
yeah. Because a lot of times people will just email me and they'll be like, are you doing this type of thing still? And I'll be like, oh, it's off my radar, but
Yeah.
I'll try it
Sure.
again.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah.
have you tried this? And then I'd like, it's almost like 90 something 6 or 8% of the time, it's like some awesome direction that I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm thankful. It's like having
Yeah.
somebody like an art director.
Yeah.
Hey, try
Yeah.
and do this and,
Yeah, yeah.
and run with it that
Yeah.
way. You
Right.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. That's a great story too. Like from my perspective, it's kind of like you had this, you predicted it completely correctly. With the first guy who just
Yeah.
he was just. I'm not sure. It's hard to know what his actual intentions were, but he didn't actually have intentions on getting it in the like proper and respectful way. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes me think, and just like a brief tangent. Have you heard? There's we're in this like whole dawn now where these influencers think they're going to get stuff for free.
Yeah.
I heard this story yesterday, or maybe it was 2 days ago. This ice cream shop in California kept having these influencers come up to the owner and say like, "Hey, we have millions of viewers on YouTube. Can we get some ice cream for free? We'll post about it on YouTube, Instagram, whatsoever." And this keeps happening. So
Yeah.
he just starts getting annoyed. He's like, "Sorry, like that's not a good business model for me. Like I have my own social media, so no one's getting things for free. Like
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like it's not sustainable for me to do." Then this keeps happening. He gets so fed up, he puts out a sign that says influencers pay double.
Oh
Yeah.
my
And
God.
and of
that's
course, like
funny.
what happens is they all get upset about it. The people who aren't influencers don't think it's hilarious, and they start posting about it. So it just blows up huge, and he gets like an interview with NPR, and like his business is doing great now because like that actually. So that I could see how that could have backfired too.
Yeah.
But he was just like, no, I don't believe in that. Like that's fine. These influencers, like they can if they want things for free, that's fine. Maybe they'll get it somewhere else. My business is not going to stand for that.
Yeah.
So I appreciated just how he was like, I'm sticking to what I believe in here for my business, and this is how it works. And it worked in his favor as far as like notoriety goes.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to be. I don't know how sustainable that is, but that I appreciated that from it as well. But also, it's just a little confusing how people feel like they should be awarded free things because of something,
Yeah.
like I hope I never feel that way. Like
Yeah.
I should get
Yeah.
in free to a show or something because of some reason or something, and there are, sometimes there are circumstances like someone might put you on a list or something that's a bit of a different circumstance, but I don't ever go to a show thinking like, oh, I should get in free because of this. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
like, if anything, I would rather like pay it forward or pay it backwards kind of thing, and get that. I don't know. This may seem. I don't know how this is going to seem, but like get those karma points.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of think
Yeah.
about karma, like, and I don't necessarily believe I'm actually getting karma points, but you do feel good when you do something good like that. Like when if I support an art monetarily, then I get rewarded.
Yeah.
And or whatever it is. there is a reward to even there's a reward to supporting a business you believe in, like supporting a small business.
Yeah,
But
and when it comes to community too, like
yeah,
you
yeah,
have like art shows or you have music shows, and you're
yeah,
like, okay, everybody's like,
yeah,
I'm stoked. Like, usually, you get into a community like a musician, you meet all these other bands, and you're like, everyone's playing every
yeah.
night.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah, right,
it's
right. Yeah.
it's hard to get out to like other people's
Oh
shows and
sure,
stuff,
absolutely.
or like
Yeah,
visual arts is like that. Everyone has
yeah,
like
yeah,
so it's like a in the community, you're like, yeah, get on the list,
yeah,
things like that,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
stoked that you're here.
Right.
This guy, one of the big pieces of like that story is that the photo he was commenting on was the piece is already pasted up,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
and like
Right.
he's like, and I'm like, dude, you gotta like at least pay attention enough to
Yeah.
not like insult me during the process. And be
Right.
like, oh, can I
Yeah.
get these? Like,
Yeah.
they're like up,
Yeah.
man.
Right.
Like,
Right. Right.
what are you talking
Yeah.
about? Like, it was
Yeah.
almost like, and this is totally on an unfair assumption, but the
Yeah.
visual that I had in my mind was
Yeah.
like him just sitting in his apartment in California or whatever, and he's
Yeah.
just like, oh, this would be cool to try and like,
Yeah.
I'm bored right now,
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
and
Right.
like,
Right. Right. I'm gonna see if I can get this for free off this guy.
yeah,
Because I like it in the moment. Yeah.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
whatever.
just
Yeah.
not even vindictive at all. Just like,
Yeah.
like that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Can I get that?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
man.
You made the work. You put in the work to make the thing. Now can you put in some more work to send it to me?
Go back down
Yeah.
there and cut him
Yeah.
off the wall. And
Yeah.
send
Yeah.
him to
Yeah.
him.
Right. Yeah.
But those things are like,
Yeah.
even how I was talking about when people are like, I'll never do commissions.
Mm-hmm.
The negative experiences, I would say, are like just so, they're easy to talk about because they're always interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I might even like argue the fact that there aren't any negative experiences because like I've had plenty of times,
Yeah.
like let's say I have an art show and it's up for a month.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe it's up for 3 months or
Sure,
4 months
sure,
and
sure.
nothing is sold.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
had things like that happen
Yeah.
plenty of times, and then like a lot of times the whole practice is, okay, cool. I take it down and move on.
Uh-huh.
Like a lot of times I'll scramble to get a show ready,
Yeah.
put it up. If nothing happens during it, I bring it home.
Yeah.
It either goes up somewhere else or I put it online.
Yeah.
But the amount of things that have happened after shows, like up to years later where
Yeah.
somebody's like, oh, I saw this thing
Yeah.
here
Yeah, yeah.
and I wanted to buy that. Like they come out of like, they just come out of everywhere,
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
none of those shows are like, were a failure or a bad thing in the
Sure,
time,
sure, yeah.
like, and even sometimes like those situations, like that dude is example. I made
Yeah.
like a whole piece about it, but
Yeah.
about the
Yeah. Yeah.
the data gator.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's great. I like that a lot. So just to get a more specific idea, like, so how, like, let me explain my process. Maybe that will help. So like for me, I don't know when it was it started, but Ashley, she got me a daily planner because I think she probably noticed like, hey, you got a lot of stuff going on and you're not managing it very well, And so she got me this planner and I started writing. So I started kind of meticulously like writing almost pretty much down, and I still do it, like down to the hour, sometimes down to like the minute, depending on what it is, like what my day is going to be like or what it is in the future, or what, when there's busier days and whatnot, just to kind of manage the flow of everything. So that's how I've been able to do all the things, and especially with starting this podcast now, which adds to it, which I'm really enjoying. But that's one thing I'm the one of the kind of aspirations is to help other people like realize like you can do a lot of things.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like the limitation of your mind to think like I don't have time. But yeah, you do, because like you make time to do the things, like if you only have 5 minutes, sometimes in 5 minutes, if that's all I have, I'm still going to play guitar or piano during that time. And I might come up with something really good in that window. Actually,
Yeah.
it happens a lot of times. Especially when those limitations can spawn creativity sometimes. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm getting at, is like, so how do you manage your time? Like how do you manage your time and your flow? You did make it very clear about the the productive period of midnight to 5,
Yeah.
which I would imagine would be awesome, because like you said, it's so quiet and like the world, it's almost like I've done that similar thing. I don't really have insomnia, but I have these manic periods sometimes. I'm not bipolar, but I'm kind of like close to that spectrum. And so I have these periods of mania where I'm just like wildly productive and can't sleep. And so I'll have those periods, and it's amazing for me because it feels like the world's asleep. You know,
Yeah.
like the world's asleep, but you're still going, and there's this like wild energy that kind of keeps the flow going because it's like, no, 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 the world's asleep. So like I can get so much done. And I know a lot of people, you know, who early birds like believe in that thing because they get up at what, 4 a.m. or 5 a.m.
Yeah.
and they like it feels like the world's asleep and they're awake and they're productive. Right.
Yeah.
And they may or may not be actually more productive. It's just that everyone else is asleep.
Yeah. I It's crazy because like I really like inspiration. I like getting super inspired, and then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go do this.
Yeah.
And then other times, like kind of what you're talking about the bipolar thing, I think I have that. I've just recently felt like, dude, I think I have that mildly. I probably had it a
Yeah.
lot worse in the past, but I'll have like these down days where I'm
Yeah.
like, dude,
Yeah.
nothing's
Right.
working,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
and I can almost predict it now. I'm like, on the other end of this thing, I'm gonna feel so great and
Right.
have all these things going
Yeah.
on.
Yep.
But it
Yep.
still worked during that like
Yep.
more depressive time, and
Yep.
it's just from habit, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And I used to like I don't know if I read this somewhere or I came up with it in my mind, but like I would always see this in like the visual artist community. There's all these people that are out there just killing it. They're always making stuff, and it's all different, and it's just like a strange, rad community.
Yeah.
You know, like I see all these things and get inspired by them. And then there's like this smaller subset of it of like people that there's nothing wrong with this, but they'll make something every 3 months, you
Okay.
know?
Sure. Sure.
And like a lot of times on their, let's say on their Instagram page, it'll be like, blah, 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 the artist. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you might want to post a picture of your artwork instead of just, you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah,
all
yeah,
this
yeah.
stuff. And then
Right.
every 3 months. And I
Yeah.
always visualize like people get into this romantic notions of what creating is.
Yeah.
So they'll be like, I'm super busy for the next 4 weeks,
Sure.
but I have a half an hour in
Yeah.
March.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm gonna get. I think I must have read this somewhere. I
Yeah.
swear it was like laid out. Like, hey, you can't like. Ideas are everywhere. They're
Yeah.
all the time,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
if you don't pluck them, they're gonna like. You can't get every one of them, but
No.
it's like what you said. Like if you got 5 minutes and you're like playing around, there's been so many times where I just have 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, and I draw something, and I'm like, dude, that changes everything.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
that's the
Oh,
new
yeah.
little character that I
Yeah.
love, or
Yep.
that's some new process
Yeah.
that I would have never gotten, but
Yeah.
it's just the practice.
Yeah.
So with the whole idea of like, oh, I'm so busy, and then but I got this half an hour. The way it was shown was like, then the artist goes to their studio and they put their paintbrushes in the right way. They get this palette set up and everything, and then there's no ideas because they
Yeah.
didn't like.
Yeah. Right.
They're not getting the like the meat of life. They're not getting that like how I was talking about the. I recently came on this thing and it was writing 10 ideas down a day.
Okay. Yeah.
And the whole process behind it was, or the whole idea behind it is, make your mind an idea machine. Make
Yeah.
it comfortable
Right.
with coming up with
Yeah.
these things.
Yeah. Totally.
And then if that person did have, I got 4 months, I can't do this, I can't,
Right.
I only got the half an hour.
Yeah.
When they get to that half an hour, they're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, look at all the stuff I have now.
Right.
Boom.
Yeah.
Because like, it just takes being aware out in
Right.
society. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I almost rear-ended that car.
Yeah.
And then there was a squirrel in the road this one time. And then this weird dude up the street made a pond and he put a piano out in it. That's the true story too.
Okay.
Right up the street from
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
This guy was building this pond with a waterfall and then he put a piano out there and I was like, dude, how much thought's going behind this? Like, because that piano
Yeah.
is going to look
Yeah.
one Northwest
Yeah.
winter, that
Yeah.
thing's going to be all de-lambed
Oh
and
yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but, and then he really like, I was like, dude, this is crazy. It's very surreal, but it's,
I have to know a little bit more about that. So what how did he angle did he put the piano in the waterfall? Because I was thinking that could
This
be
is
cool.
gonna be even
What
better.
if you opened up the piano, put it in the waterfall so it's like constantly like playing the harp part of it, you know?
The way that he did it was, so he built this top pool and then like a bigger bottom pool.
Okay.
And then the piano's at the very top and the
Okay.
water comes out of the keys.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. But then I think like, I was telling my girlfriend the other day, I was like, I think he got overzealous on the
Yeah.
project because when you drive by during the day, at first you're like, oh, that's a great concept.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then you drive by during the day, you're like, oh, there's all these pieces that he didn't fill in with like rocks and stuff, and you see these tarps and stuff, and I'm like, and I think it's one of those things where he got so excited about it, and he powered through it, and then he's like,
yeah, this is a lot of work.
It's done. I'm not gonna fill those things in, you know. But
yeah. Yeah, well, I would imagine that's a constant project you have to keep updating too.
Yeah, and it's
like,
one of those veneered pianos that's like, just knowing those materials, like it's kind of like those veneered shelves. You leave them out on the. Actually, those veneered shelves are indestructible. But it's like, I mean, a piano would never be made out of that. It's like a more sacred object. You know?
Yeah.
And like, I could just see that delambing, you know, like all winter, and him not knowing that because he just doesn't know the materials.
Sure.
Like you can't just. There's a reason.
Well,
why.
also wood doesn't do very well if it's constantly wet. So I mean, so how is that? That's gonna start decomposing.
Yeah.
It's gonna fall apart.
I'm
but
super glad that dude did that. Like those type of things, I love that. Oh yeah, I'm so glad that guy did that in my neighborhood. So people are pulling over all the time and looking at it. And
right.
It's Burien. You know,
yeah, no, that's great. Burien. I think I told you this, but I really enjoyed. I got to work at because I worked for Max Strong's Teamworks, which is a mentoring organization. But basically, like we taught a lot in some schools, like Sylvester and Chinook. You know, we would do couple of classes basically, and it was primarily health, but we would have these discussions that weren't just about health. You know, they would be about you know, social issues and stuff. But it was just such a great experience, and like I had been teaching before that and you know, a little bit, but that teaching experience for me, I mean, got me to where I am now, which I'm teaching high school, but that was really great experience, and I'm so glad I got to have it. And I got to know Burien just because it was in two different parts of Burien, and I really enjoyed it. The food, I found this place. It was I'm gonna have to go find it again. But it's not. They don't advertise at all about being a fish and chips place. It was like and I might be wrong, but I think they might have advertised as like Vietnam, you know, teriyaki. I almost said Vietnamese, but I'm not 100% on that, so that's why I'm a little apprehensive. But anyways, like I want to say it was just like you know, a place that just said teriyaki or something. So I was like, I'll try it. I'll give it a try. I went in and they had fish and I feel the lady who works behind the counter too is very sassy. You know, and I love that instantly. And then she convinces me to get fish and chips. And I was like, okay, that doesn't sound like a good idea at a teriyaki place to get fish and chips. I'll go for it. You convinced me. I do it. And I went back like every Friday, like for like an entire year, because it was so good. And it was just, the experience was great too. They would play these like really awkward soap operas on the TV too. And it was like an old school TV, you know.
Yeah.
So all these things that you get, you know, that's that you can't find that everywhere.
Yeah.
So
that's one of my favorite like living in Burien. That's one of my favorite things is there's this Facebook group called Take Back Burien. Oh. And it's so, like, to me, it's so entertaining. It's not as entertaining to people around me, obviously. Like, so Burien had this parade yesterday.
Okay.
I was supposed to set up an art show at Elliott Bay Brewery. I ended up setting it up today because like all the streets were blocked off for this parade.
Oh, yeah.
And I was a little annoyed because like it was one of those nights where I got, you know, no sleep, and then I'm up early, and I was like, dude, and I was just having this banter with myself in the car, like, hey, are you gonna go to the parade? And I was like, no, because it's not. World War II ended a long time ago, you know? Like, I'm just being like kind of a dick about it, you know? Like, dude, I'm not gonna go to a parade, dude, because I don't want to see some like half-ass clowns and stuff, you know? And like, And then like at one point I was like, dude, you're being totally unfair. There's people like work hard and they want some
Yeah.
rest and
Yeah,
relaxation.
absolutely.
Like maybe some people like the fair, even though
Yeah.
like we're like, God, like that era
Yeah.
is over. But
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Then last night I get on Take Back Beerian and I'm reading like some of the responses about like somebody like the first prompting was like, was anybody else disappointed by the parade today? And I was like, how could you not be?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Right.
parades shouldn't
Yeah.
even exist
Yeah.
anymore.
Because it's not
And
1945.
yeah, so I started reading them all to my girlfriend, and like she definitely wasn't a willing audience about this, but I kept going with it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
one of the responses was my favorite. This lady was like, I've been going to the parade for 40 years, and this one was severely disappointing. And I was like,
Yeah.
it's a free event. It
Right.
was severely
Yeah.
disappointing. She's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
they had some service vehicles out there, some fire trucks, and some clowns. And I'm like, that's a fair.
That is a
Or I
fair.
mean, that's
Yeah.
a parade.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
parade right
Right.
there, dude.
Right.
Some clowns
Yeah.
and some
Yeah.
service vehicles. But I was
Yeah.
like, and look at, and I just kept dissecting it. I'm like, look at, she's been going there for 40
40
years.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
like parades are for little kids. They're not for
Right.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
60 or 70-year-olds,
Right.
you know. Like I love that stuff.
Yeah.
But the entertainment and that, like, God, I was having so much fun with it too, but
Yeah.
it wasn't really appreciated
Yeah.
in the room. I wasn't reading the audience right.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
me and my girlfriend and our dog.
Yeah.
I think our dog really appreciated it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, she
Yeah.
was like, "Are you still going on about the parade?" I'm
Right,
like, "This
right.
lady's like something. She's been there, dude.
Yeah.
She's been here 40 years in a
Yeah.
row. This
Yeah.
one's disappointing,
Right.
dude."
Yeah. I know. Well, and also that's a circumstance where, I mean, we can't disagree with her. Like maybe she was right. Maybe it was disappointing, but the thing that she could do better, that is certain, is she could make the parade better.
Yeah, that's-
because she has 40 years of experience, which
Yeah.
I'm almost certain that there's not many people who have 40 years of experience
Yeah.
in a parade in Burien. So like she should go and she should be a council member of the parade is what she
Yeah.
should do. Like,
You guys got to get
Yeah.
more strawberry shortcake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or cinnamon rolls or whatever we
Yeah,
have.
cinnamon rolls.
I was
That's
like,
a
what are
good.
you-
That's a good parade. That's what you need in a parade
I was
is
like,
cinnamon
what
rolls.
do you expect from a parade, man?
All right, cool. Well, yeah. The only other thing that I want to go over would be like how would you say? I mean, and you've really touched on it, but how would you say that like Instagram has changed kind of the art world, or would you say that it has? I mean, like to me, it feels like it has, just because you have more of a bit more of a platform now, but. Yeah, because I mean, Etsy existed before Instagram, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Etsy's been around for a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
Instagram to me was like, so there used to be this platform Flickr,
yeah.
and I loved Flickr.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah.
And
Is it gone or is it?
Flickr's still there, but
Okay.
it died overnight.
Yeah,
it was
right. It was a Yahoo thing, right? Yeah, I'm
think
pretty
so.
sure
Yeah,
Yahoo.
yeah,
had
it was
Flickr,
Yahoo.
Yeah.
And I loved that because it was just visual. That
Yeah.
was before Facebook was really like, I was on Flickr before Facebook allowed people to be on it that weren't in a college forum.
Oh wow.
Because
Okay.
Facebook
Yeah,
started
yeah. Right.
with just, you had to be,
Yeah.
it was just these college
Yeah,
chat rooms.
it was an Ivy League thing to begin with, just Ivy Leagues.
Yeah.
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 Which is hilarious.
Yeah.
it's just so funny
What
that
it's
like
turned into.
yeah. And now, well, yeah, it like went through an evolution, just Ivy Leagues, then just then all universities, then like it evolved from that to like grandparents. That it was
Yeah.
just like, kids didn't care anymore. They're like, I don't use that. My parents do, or my grandparents do.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now it's like, I don't know what it is. It's just a plethora of all of that now, I guess.
It's like it's
Yeah.
weird mashed potato bowl of mashed potato.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was like Flickr, and it was just all visual, and I loved it. And then there was these little like there was a Seattle street art group, and I met a ton of different street artists through it.
Yeah.
And then there was these forums, so then you would talk back and forth,
Okay.
like there would be a subject. And then like Flickr, it was weird. Like Facebook started getting more prominent. And then Flickr it literally died overnight.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
these people, especially street artists, they have all this place to put their stuff, and like just I've never seen, like, I remember the MySpace days and that thing dying.
Yeah.
But Flickr just took a nosedive like within a couple days. I don't even know how it happened.
Yeah.
And then Instagram came around and I was like, oh, this is like Flickr part 2, you
Yeah.
know? And but it's better, you know, it's like
Yeah.
sleeker
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, I love it. Like
Yeah.
it has its traps like
Sure. Sure.
everything
Sure.
else,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like
Right. Right.
for a long time, like I made a bunch of little comics that were like, you know, about like I don't got as many likes as I had, or it's not about the likes or
Yeah.
whatever. It really isn't, but
Mm.
it's strange how much that
Yeah.
like there have been times in the past where I'm like, I'm gonna start a daily comic, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll post like artwork,
Yeah.
painting, and it'll have this certain amount of it's just interesting to watch. It have a
Yeah.
certain amount of likes.
Yeah.
Then I'll post a comic and it'll just plummet, you
Mm.
know?
Yeah.
Or I'll
Huh.
like now I'm doing my little YouTube thing, so
Yeah.
I'll like put a still of it up, you know,
Yeah.
and it'll just plummet. And I
Yeah.
don't know if
Yeah.
it's because people are actually like, oh, I'm gonna go check the link and they
Right.
forget to like it or
Sure.
whatever.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
But I'm like, dude, it's all a good exercise.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
every once in a while, Instagram, this is where I always notice it. Instagram will change its algorithm and
Yeah.
everyone will
Right.
be like,
Right.
if you like my content, go to my thing
Yeah.
and
Right.
press whatever. I never do that because
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, like I don't just keep making good
Yeah.
things, the best version of
Right.
yourself and
Yeah.
the best you can do it. And
Yeah.
like some of the stuff, like don't worry about like,
Yeah.
I heard the story about when they were cleaning up Instagram, they got rid of all these bots and
Okay.
this one friend of mine lost like, he has a ton of followers.
Yeah.
He lost like a couple thousand and
Sure.
he was
Yeah.
bummed, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people were like, dude, those weren't real people.
Those weren't real, yeah,
But it's
yeah.
still in your mind like,
Yeah.
oh, I
Right,
just
right,
lost
right.
this
Yeah.
amount of thing.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, I stopped looking. I stopped looking at those numbers because it just like that just made it a negative experience for me
Yeah.
to like see that, and also the like thing. I mean that I'm still in a circumstance where I haven't quite let go of that of the care of that. The best like I'm curious about the energy behind it because what I notice is when I don't care, pun intended because of this part, is that when I don't care is when I get the best results. Like
Yeah.
when I just am like just let it go, like put yourself out there, let it go, and they'll latch on or not, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like maybe two people, well maybe 200, whatever. Those are the best results. And then and especially because then I'll, whatever the results are, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me anymore. I was willing to put it out there and not care about the exception rate,
Yeah.
of the likes kind of thing. So that's one thing that I need to like stay on that mindset all the time. Well, because I've also started a new band, and so so now it's a little different because there's more people involved. It's not just me. So for them, I want it's like
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
them to get accepted too, which they probably don't care, but I am. So yeah. So there's a whole interesting thing, and I'm so curious about the energy, even with I've also had these like text and I've been in this place where I've had text and email conversations with people that got pretty severely misinterpreted and like were seen as
Oh,
negative,
yeah.
and people
Yeah.
get upset. And that's and so I've been trying to have more personal, like on the phone conversations, and of course that's why I think podcasts are getting so popular because we're missing out on actual in-person conversations. Like,
Yeah,
we're
that's
really
true.
missing that element because it's like you can text anyone anything, like and so I've had these experiences and I'm trying to figure out like what is it when my energy is actually positive, like what's happening with the channel there, where is it you mentioned projection before, is it because
Yeah.
that person is projecting negativity and they just want it to be negative, so they're projecting their negativity on the thing that I wrote that wasn't supposed to be
Yeah.
negative,
Yeah.
or maybe there was something subconscious or something that was negative about what I said, or maybe I was actually negative, but still like there's no tone with a text message.
Yeah.
So how can you tell that I'm actually angry?
Yeah, that's the truth.
I'm not
And-
putting exclamation points in.
And people are so convinced of their reality.
Yeah.
They're so convinced of like
Yeah.
like you always hear the thing of like, oh well, yeah, Frank did that
Yeah.
Laura because he's thinking this.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude,
yeah,
you have no idea
right,
what he's
right,
thinking.
right.
Like,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you're not
yeah,
him. Like,
right.
we're not all living the same experience.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
I would say, like, when people talk about, like, I've gotten this all the time. Like, you gotta like come back down to reality. I'm like, there is no reality. It's all infinite. We're
Yeah,
all
yeah,
seeing it
yeah,
differently.
yeah,
And
yeah.
when the person that's like when a person says that, you got to come back to reality. I'm like,
Yeah.
you think what you're thinking is
Sure.
reality,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but everybody's thinking different things.
Right,
Everyone
right.
is different.
Yeah.
I saw this thing the other day, and it was all about like letting go of what like it says like it was boiled down to don't ask why, like if you get treated weird, just don't ask why because
Sure.
you don't know if that person is just
Yeah.
like everyone has those people in their life where you're like no matter how I approach them, it's not going to be good. It's a
Yeah.
really expensive time to hang out with them because they need so much or
Yeah.
this is always going on or that's
Yeah.
always but that's completely built in their reality.
Sure.
Like that, like just reading a
Yeah.
text and being like this
Yeah.
is what you meant.
Yeah.
You don't know what I meant,
Right. Yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen people in what is it like that aren't seeing eye to eye, and I've had like somebody actually reading me text like, oh, and then they said this, and they're saying it in a tone, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I could easily read it in a different tone, and
Right,
it'll be
right. Yeah.
totally different. No,
Yeah.
they are like, oh yeah, I'm really sorry about blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, they're like, oh dude, I'm really sorry, but no, man, I think they really are authentically
Yeah,
apologizing,
exactly.
but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Right, right, right. Yeah. No, that's a great point. Yeah. That's a really great point. Yeah. I mean, how many people say I'm sorry in a condescending way? That's fairly rare
Yeah.
to be like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And that's just funny. I mean, that's just,
Yeah.
then you just laugh. Just be
And,
like, okay.
and like sometimes taking like when people take like I don't know, I feel like I am like a huge consumer of comedy and I always have been and my
yeah.
mind is super nonsensical sometimes. I'm just a total goofball
Yeah.
sometimes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And if somebody takes any of those things like and like the amount of times that I run into people that have no comedic stuff in their life is just always serious. I'm like, it's amazing,
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, always like, I need to ingest this to even
Yeah.
survive.
Yeah. 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 Right, right. Right.
But like, you just say something
Yeah.
like off the cuff, and people are like, "Oh, what did you mean about that?" I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, I'm obviously not getting visited by aliens. It's like it's a joke. No, I wasn't talking about your grandma. The other day, I had this conversation with myself in the car. It was insane.
Yeah.
It was like when I was talking about like I was totally getting down on myself. I'm like, oh, I got this intention in the universe, and this is
Yeah.
supposed to happen. And all this.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, this is
right.
bullshit.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I don't know where the hell this came from, but I started talking to myself like I'm an Italian guy in the car with me. He's like, hey, are you? My grandma said that's the way to go. Are you talking shit about my grandma? And I'm like, no, man, I'm sorry. Hey, man, this guy over here, man, he's talking shit about my grandma. Like, it totally got me out of it. And I don't even know where it came from, and I'm just like, no, man, no, I'm sorry. I wasn't. Oh, my grandma's not good enough to apologize to? You're just going to apologize to me? And I was like, dude, I don't know where this shit comes from, but I fucking love it.
That is so good.
But it's totally that.
That's so good.
It fits with both of them's intention, Oh, he's just driving around talking to himself now. Are you saying my grandma talked to myself? I didn't even mention your grandma. Oh, so I'm just making stuff up. I'm a liar now. I'm like, dude.
Oh, I love that.
I would love to have
yeah.
I was talking about this with my brother-in-law. I would love to have something in my car that records, and it just records constantly, and then I wouldn't even. Then I forget about it because I'm always doing shit like that.
No, I'm glad you brought that up. Do you have a recording command on your phone or anything like that? Like a
Probably.
Yeah, because that's one thing I was thinking about when you mentioned being in the car and coming up with ideas, and you're like, I can't do anything. Which as funny as that is, you're familiar with Tom Waits?
Yeah.
He's done I've seen this interview with him where he said same thing. He's like, because he's so charismatic and super dark and weird, and he's like, yeah, I come up with these ideas in the car, and I'm just cursing God because God's giving me these ideas, and I can't do anything with them, But anyways, but that makes me think of like, what I do in a it's not like the fail safe way or the perfect way, but it is really helpful. Is I'll just record the record button on the phone and just record that idea right there, whatever it is. Sometimes it's like me beatboxing or something, or I'll
Oh,
be making a
nice.
guitar noise like, and just like that. That's the idea that's coming out in this traffic moment, or it's just like an idea for a book or something or a character or whatever it is. But I'll just record that whole thing in that moment, and then you don't have to worry about touching anything on your phone either. You just press the record button real quick and let that go, and then just
Yeah.
turn, and then just let it keep going until you get home or whatever. So that's one. Maybe try that. I'm curious to know if that would maybe solve that dilemma a little bit.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like back I remember riding around with one of my close friends. His dad was a doctor, and he had one of those like suction cup pen pads on his car, and he would and his hand, like there's some weird thing with doctors. Their handwriting is always terrible,
Yeah.
and you could not tell anything he's writing. But he would do that, and I remember being young and being like, this seems dangerous, And that's the thing is you can't, I in the past I tried to like write out or text the ideas, and sometimes I'll even do the voice to text thing, and then I'll have the idea out. It'll be raw, like won't get it exactly right, but I can decipher it at least enough to have that idea. So those are some things that I think that technology is actually it gives us an advantage to deal with that dilemma of you can't physically write when you're driving. At least it's not a great idea.
Yeah. And it's so fun to get all free in the car.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
make up whole shows in the
Yeah.
car.
Yeah. 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 I know it's funny, like there are mornings where I don't like the commute, it's frustrating, but for the most part, it's been really good because a lot of times, if I make those moments, creative moments, it's great.
Yeah.
Because you're stuck in this pod and this, whatever 2-ton vehicle thing, and you're going 15 miles an hour to wherever to an extent, and then finally you can go the speed limit. But those can be nice. I mean, that's the thing. It goes back to the thing before of people saying they don't have free time. Like, use that time to your advantage. Use that time to be creative.
Yeah.
Use that time to like plan your day or meditate or like meditate to an extent. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think people compartmentalize their like creative things.
Yeah.
So like, oh, it has to be here. It has
Right.
to be there. I'm like,
Right.
dude,
No.
there's all these ideas all the time.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I'm always like making up stories for other drivers and pedestrians.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. There
like,
you go. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The little like one-off things that
Yeah.
I'll say. I'm like, oh,
Right.
it's perfect for
Yeah.
the character.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I really like the idea of writing down ideas. I don't, like for me in particular, I think I'm going to start doing that, like write down ideas. I'm not going to make it 10, but I think just starting writing ideas down every day so I can get into that habit and get better at, increase that skill, basically,
Yeah.
productivity.
I have all these like composition books, and before I even saw that thing, because that was really recently where that guy, like I did this thing for a while that just said, it'd start my composition book page out and I would start drawing, and then I would just, in the corner, I'd just write today's gold.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And it would be like all the little tidbits of like while I'm drawing, my mind would be free, and I'd be like, oh, a character doing this. Then, oh, there was that thing I saw and the squirrel was doing that or whatever. So it was just these golden little things.
Yeah.
But the other day I was like flipping through one of the composition books because they just get filled. They're just dollar composition books.
Yeah, sure.
And I found a whole like episode guide, and it kind of prompted the episodes. I was like, dude, this is a whole show right here. I wrote down all these like pieces of whatever, and it breaks open so many things like loose in my head,
Cool.
Like it's crazy.
Right on. That's awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me on here, man.
I'm not exactly sure how long we went. It feels like it was at least, it's 3:12 right now. We probably started around like 1:45. So
Oh, crazy.
Yeah. I know, it's a time warp and I love it.
Yeah.
I decided intentionally not to look at the clock at all. Yeah,
That's
why I also don't put a clock up there, so like you can't see the time.
Nice.
Yeah. But thanks again for doing this. That's it.
Awesome.
I don't care.